There we go.
All right, why don't you intro us?
Beautimus. Hi, everyone. We were just trying to do a Facebook Live, and apparently it doesn't want to do a conversation like we had talked about. My name is TJ Horst, also a Timothy. I've been doing investments for 15, 18 years. Um, and I have with us today my friend Tim, who has an education background, one of the smartest guys I know. One of the baldest guys I know has does have a background in real estate investing, in crypto. I met him about a year and a half ago at an event out here in Phoenix, and we kind of hit it off. We've been chatting back and forth ever since. Today, we're looking to talk to you about a deferred sales trust and how it might work depending on your situation for real estate investors specifically, but also other areas. And finally, we want to touch on how maybe you can use it as a realtor to get a few more sales.
Absolutely.
So I think
Absolutely. Yeah.
just
Looking forward to it, man. Good to be on here with you. And we're going to bring some knowledge to everybody. And, I'm going to say this, if there's anything that we do say in this recording and you want to learn more about it, just DM either TJ or myself, or maybe somebody shared this recording. They may be an agent on our team, and you're welcome to reach out to them, and they can set up a meeting with myself or TJ. Okay, so just to let you know, that's what we're able to do for you. So heads up. All right, TJ, what you got?
beautiful. First off, we're talking specifically about the deferred sales trust. So I was just going to ask if you could do a quick overview on what that is, what it looks like, and
Sure.
maybe a benefit.
Absolutely. So since we kind of came together on more specifically for real estate investors, we'll kind of keep it in that vein. But I think other people will be able to see where the value is for them on this. But the deferred sales trust is it utilizes the 457 hang on, tax code in order to let me shut my volume off here because that would be more appropriate for a live, wouldn't it? But it uses that for the tax code. Really, what it is I would let me back up. I'm going to say this: if you have a high value asset or a real estate portfolio and you want to liquidate it, and the pain of having to pay all those capital gains on the front end keeps you from doing it, then you want a deferred sales trust. That's it. And so now if you're going, well, how the heck does that help me? Well, a deferred sales trust utilizes the IRS tax code so that you can liquidate the asset, and it happens inside of the DST. It's a legal entity, and it holds that so that you can turn around and reallocate those. You, not you, but the trust reallocates those funds, and you can either go back into real estate or other investment assets. And but you have it's a three-legged stool. So you have a legal, you have a tax expert, and you have a financial advisor as part of the trust. Each of them operate independently, but you are not a part of the trust. You're not part of that stool, right? But the trust is an asset that can be held by, let's say, your current irrevocable trust or family trust. And so you are able to maintain that within the portfolio, but reallocate those funds that you would sell from the high value asset in order to go and acquire something else. And so why is this attractive? Because people are tired. They get locked into a 1031 hamster wheel. They are just buying property, defer, 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 defer. And all of a sudden they realize, they look around and their family doesn't want to take it anymore. And or they're like, I don't want to inherit that mess. Like, please just sell it so I don't have to deal with it. Or maybe they don't want to put the burden on their family because they know how exhausting it is to manage a portfolio like that. And they would love to get out of it, but they don't because the pain of those taxes just prevents them from it. So, again, it's just a very, very proven way in order to exit those positions. But here's a cool part: it's not just limited to real estate. You could do this with a business. If you're a business owner and you've got a business that if you were to sell it, You're going to have to pay the capital gains on a commercial real estate or investment property of any kind. Even car collections, music. There was one that was done with music rights. So it really is a matter of do we art collection? There's another one. So it just really comes down to, is it a high value asset? Would you be on the hook for capital gains? If you would love to be able to keep that money working for you, the IRS will allow you to do it. But you just got to go through a certain, series of events to make it happen. That's all it is.
Well, you talked about capital gains, selling the asset, and taxes. What's the main, like, why would I do this instead of just, say I've got $1 million in equity in a house? Why
Mhm.
would I use this deferred sales trust rather than just selling it, writing a check to Uncle Sam for a third, a fifth, half of it maybe, depending on tax brackets and things? Why would I, yeah, why would I use the deferred sales trust instead of just giving the money to Uncle Sam and being done with it?
Well, I mean, if you calculate that as your own charitable donation to give your money away in taxes, then it's your prerogative to do whatever you want to do with the money, right? So I'm not going to tell you not to do it,
Yeah.
but a lot of people would love to know that they could keep that money in the family because let's be real. I mean, you were the one who built the asset and cultivated it to be a profitable vehicle and have value, and you spent the time, blood, sweat, and tears to get it to where it is so that you can turn around and make profit on it. But as it stands, Uncle Sam, God bless him, wants his pound of flesh and he's going to take it, right? So it's and the taxation on it is really just subject oftentimes to the state itself. So just keep that in mind. So I guess my answer to that question is, well, if you just want, a pile of money that you can go swimming in, but just two-thirds of the overall, then sell it outright, pay the taxes, and pitch it into a swimming pool and go for it.
When a Scrooge McDucket, you can do that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You can do that.
So if we move it into the deferred sales trust, rather than paying that big tax hit up front, we can kind of push some of it off and pay it in smaller increments down the road, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, so where it's not that you're not paying taxes. I want to get that clear that you're not going to ever avoid that. But all the IRS wants to know is that you're not going to sell the asset, in a tax deferral scenario and then just put it under a mattress and it never goes back into the market. So there's an aspect of it that a portion of it does go back into the market, but there is some consult that happens as to variety of options as to where you can take it. And one of those could be maybe you want to start a business and you need some seed money to start that business. Well, you can do that with the seed money from the DST, from that deferred sales trust, and turn around and go to market and start that business. And maybe it's a real estate business. Maybe it's I talked to a guy the other day that has a cactus business, and I was like, this is very interesting. He loves cacti. I don't know. But if that's what you wanted to do and take it to market and build an online platform for it, and elevate it, if you had a deferred sales trust, you could allocate funds for doing that. But yes, what actually is happening is you're doing it all. It's an installment payment loan. So once the asset is liquidated, there's effectively a loan balance, and so you're offsetting income, not you, but
The
the
trust.
advisory, the trust is offsetting the income so that the income you're taking will be a taxable income. Okay. But you're not being taxed that entire chunk of money. And when that entire chunk of money that you would otherwise give away to the government goes to work for you, realistically, it should be making you far more than ever you would pay in taxes. And so
Yeah,
then people say, well, the next question, the natural question might be, well, does this tax burden follow my family once I'm gone?
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah. And the answer is, well, if you set it up correctly, it's deferred indefinitely.
Hmm.
And how does that work? Well, it's layers of trust. And so that's why you want to have that family trust or irrevocable potentially in there. And now I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to get all super technical. I'm just giving you the kind of meat and potatoes on
The
the
overview.
layman.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have that irrevocable trust. That DST goes into it just like any other asset. So you could have like your property and personal property, whatever, anything that you don't want your family to be taxed on, you put inside that DST, you're an executor to the trust. You pass, your heirs become the new executors to the trust, and now have access to everything that's in it. So
Hmm,
they're not having to pay the benefit, or the benefit, the taxation of the death of the family member.
that's awesome. Okay, perfect. And we've been talking about real estate specifically, which that's both of our wheelhouse. Are there restrictions on using this kind of a structure for digital assets, cryptocurrency,
Absolutely.
stocks, that kind of stuff?
It's actually what brought me closer to the fold and learning more about this, because real crypto is such a it's it can be a very confusing topic for a lot of people. And I understand crypto from an investor standpoint, and whether I'm buying and holding, whether I'm doing it as a day trade, whether I'm doing it in other aspects of crypto. But what I've always been curious about was, is there a way that I can exit my crypto holdings at the peak of the crypto market and not have to pay super exorbitant capital gains? Because we're talking, crypto, some of my cryptos will, by the time I sell them, will be up 1,000%. And so the answer is yes. Okay. And there's a process that goes into it. And not to get super granular on it, I'll just say yes. And there is a way to make it happen that requires a series of experts that know what the heck they're freaking doing, and then the documentation that goes into it. But I personally will be using that because it just makes sense. Um, and like I said, I'm trying to I'm answering saying yes, you can with crypto without having to give away a proprietary solution for how that might work, which is
Well,
not my solution to give. Okay.
I used to live in investment world. We'd see guys that had, they bought Apple 20 years ago and it's 100 times, 1,000 times what it was worth before. So yeah, it sounds like a similar scenario. If you sell
But
it,
here's
ugh,
what's really cool. And for someone like me, where I mean, this was one of my primary questions is like, okay, and I'm going to say this because if you are a crypto investor of reasonable status where you've been in it long, you've got multiple assets. My first question was, do I just pick my hero coin, my one coin, and that's the one I get to liquidate? Or is it the entire portfolio inside of a particular platform or exchange?
yeah.
How. And so the answer is yes, it's based on an exchange. And so there's a proper way to make that happen. But then my next question was, okay, great. Let's say I get 1,000% upside on whatever I'm holding and I cash it all in. And it makes sense to take advantage of a deferred sales trust because, my taxable implication is greater than the cost of building the trust. Okay. And so, yes, I'm a prime candidate at some point in the future, but I want to know if I liquidate all that crypto. If you understand the crypto market, it has massive ups and it has massive downs, and the downs can be down 70, 80, 90%, even 95% for like 3 to 4 years. Because that's what happened to me is I bought as the market was pumping about 5 years ago, 2020, 2021, and I was just buying on the way up. I didn't know I was in a crypto bull run, had no clue. So it's pumping, 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 and I'm buying, 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 and then it crashes. And I'm sitting there holding it. Now I know as soon as I sell it, I'm absolutely out. But I've just been buying the bottom ever since. But because I've got the experience to know where the tops can be and where the bottoms can be, I want to sell the top and I want to buy the bottom. So my question was,
That's the
can I,
dream.
yeah, can I sell the top and buy the bottom? And then buying the bottom means I might have to be patient for a period of time. And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. Okay. And there's, again, a way to make that happen. It's through a series of, making sure that everybody that's the consult for the DST is aware of what the goal is. And then, they make sure that there's that advisory role that's happening. But the answer is yeah, which is another reason why I like the idea of that deferred sales trust for me and my crypto portfolio, because I don't want to be out of crypto indefinitely once I sell. I
Sure.
want to get back in. But then the next question is, right, because it's layers upon layers of questions. Okay, great. So I acquire more crypto inside of my DST at the bottom. We get another bull run 5 or 6 years out from now. I get another 1,000% upside in my crypto portfolio. Am I taxed on that money?
Yeah.
No.
No. Well,
The
yes, that was
purpose.
going to be my question, not.
Yeah. So the question is, am I now taxed on the new gains inside of the DST? And no, what happens is the DST is adjusted so that the installment payment loan effectively is adjusted for the value inside of the DST. So the income I'm taking from the DST is going to be taxable, but it has to be adjusted based on the new value within the DST itself.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So the payout's higher because the value is higher. So let's say we sell whatever asset, real estate, stocks, crypto. Well, I'm sorry, move it into the DST, then liquidate it. We've got cash. We've done some other investings. As other investing, it's increased in value. We've taken some payments. Years down the road, I kick the bucket. Okay. The DST pays out to my family, keeps paying out. How's the liquidation piece work if someone passes away?
Yeah. So I'm going to say it depends on the assets that are held inside of the DST and whether those assets are held on the individual or the DST itself.
Mm,
So the answer is it depends, and it can be a series of various options and outcomes, and maybe you want a blend of all of it. But a scenario would be this: I have a client that is liquidating a property for the express purposes of utilizing a DST. It's they're going to take $1 million from this liquidation, which is less than half of what the property sell value is going to be, and it will go into an annuity, and that annuity is going to give them a guaranteed income. And so, and by guarantee, I mean like it's a set amount based on the money that goes in there. Okay, contractual guarantee.
yeah.
Um, the
They're
way
getting
it's
a
built,
monthly, annual payment for the rest of their life. Yeah.
and that income is greater on just, and I say just $1 million from the sale of this asset is greater than what they could get in rent on the assets itself. Okay, but they want the income because they're older and just the way they're set up, like it just makes sense that we would build that on her because she's younger than he is and he's in his 80s and she's in her late 70s.
Sure.
So when he passes, his pension goes with him and she no longer has that income. So if we build the income on her through the inside of the DST with the annuity, now
Yeah.
she has a survivable income that survives beyond him. When she passes, if there's any money left over, then it pays out. Now it will be taxed at that point because of it's going to be taxed, but only on what is left and or can pay with inside of the DST. This is why I say it really just depends on what's the ultimate goal.
Situation.
Are there errors involved? And that's why you've got three professionals all as an advisory role inside of the DST to make sure that whatever happens is appropriate and properly documented. That's
Make
the
sure
other
we
thing
don't
that's got to
mess it up. Yeah.
correct.
The
Yeah.
IRS would love for us to mess it up and then
Yeah, all the IRS cares
stop.
about is making sure that your money is accounted for and effectively in the market so that you know at some point there's going to be a taxation. Just the reality, it could be
Yeah.
decades or generations down the road.
But if it's invested again within the DST, you're earning more money and eventually they're going to get more money just
Yeah,
straight up.
yeah, because as the value of that DST increases with the funds initially started in it, now you might have to increase periodically the payouts, and the taxation is going to come from the payouts as income.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And let me hit the last point. I think I covered my questions. I did want to relate this back to real estate and realtors specifically, how you can make more sales. And if I'm reading this
Absolutely.
correctly, um, I've seen real estate investors that have a small apartment complex or even a couple Airbnb portfolios. You've had it for 10 or 15 years and it's almost paid off. So you get massive gains if you sell all of that, right? So perhaps we could work with a realtor who's got a client in that scenario. We could still go through, we could set it up, put it in the trust. Realtor could still go through with the sale, so they get paid, right? And the client can defer those gains down the road through the DST. Am I reading that right? That sound
Yes. The
plausible?
bulk, the bulk, They're going to be paying the capital gains within the income that the DST, allocates.
Yeah,
But the bulk of capital gains, that big old chunky piece, is deferred
down the
down the
road.
road. Yes.
Okay.
So how can this be a benefit to a real estate professional? And I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios. I called up a friend of mine who was in the title business for a couple decades, and she was even a past client of mine in what I do, what we do professionally. And I just started talking to her about how a deferred sales trust works, and if she thought any of her past clients could benefit from it. She said, "Screw them, I need this for me." And so brought her to the table and leveled her up and introduced her to my guy, and it just really was an eye opener for her, and to the degree that she wants to go ahead and potentially take advantage of it. I don't know. I mean, we're not there, but she's in a discovery process.
Yeah.
But yes, it does make sense for her, and she got all of her questions answered and felt very good about all the questions answered. And she will likely be taking this back to past clients or current clients. So as a title person, she can empower her agents, and if she wanted, or if a title person wanted, they could have someone like myself come in and do a lunch and learn with their realtors and say, hey, here's a way where you could tap into potential clients who would love to sell but aren't, and you want to access their entire portfolio. Well, here's a solution for them that might get you the deal where somebody else can't get it. And so for instance would be that 1031 portfolio, that older person that's they're tired, and they know that their family doesn't want to inherit the headache that's been theirs for so many years, and they would love to be out of it, but they just don't know that this is an option. And so now that realtor can pick up a phone and say, hey, Mr. So and so or Mrs. So and so, I've got a solution where maybe you could exit your entire portfolio without having to pay all the capital gains all at once, and you could defer it over time, and still use that money for generating a stream of income. Is that a solution that you'd be interested in? And everyone's going to say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have not met a person
Yeah.
who's interested in selling that didn't say yes to the question.
No, I'd
And
love to keep dealing with tenants and management companies and
yeah,
paying tax bills and
yeah, they're talking on the phone while holding a plunger in the other hand, right? I mean, that's the reality. But so that's one scenario. Here's another scenario. Maybe you've got commercial brokers out there, commercial realtors, and they got a client that has to sell their property for a certain amount of money because they know that they've got to exit, the asset and pay the capital gains. And so the sale has stalled because there's not a buyer for the price that it's at.
sure.
Let's say you're a realtor and you come in and you say, hey, or you're that commercial realtor, commercial broker, and you say, hey, look, if I could get you, if we could reduce the price of your property or listing by 15 to 20% and get you the same amount of income, would that be of value to you, right? Is that a solution you'd be interested in?
Heck
And
yeah.
in which they're going to say, well, how can you even do that? Well, insert DST. But now, because
Magic.
of that,
That's
yeah. And it, you know what? It may not be the viable solution because maybe their plans for the funds is different than what a DST might allow for. I don't know. But it's worth asking if you've got the solution and you've got a stagnant property because they just have to have a certain amount. But you know what? Usually they just want out. That's why they're selling. And at this point, if it's stagnant, they're like, what do I got to do to sell? And I mean, I got to get this number. So blah, blah, blah. And so you come in and say, well, through a DST, we can offer less, get all that money because we're not having to pay the chunky capital gains on the front end. We can reallocate that. And now you're making money on that money, which might be better than leaving it where it's at
yeah.
and just and standing firm on your price. So there's another solution. But that's why I say, I mean, whether it's title brokers or real estate professionals, anybody that's in a relationship or has a potential relationship with a client, they need to know that this is an option. They need to at least be able to say no, thank you. And who's going to say that
Yeah.
to them?
It's just knowledge, right? Knowledge is power. You want to know, I'd rather know and be like, well, maybe not for this one. I'm recalling back to part of our conversation, you talked about a crypto portfolio. What about a real estate portfolio? If I have 10 houses held under one LLC, could I move one to five of them into a DST and sell those and then do whatever I wanted with the others? Is it an all or nothing with a portfolio, or could you do partials?
No, you can be selective.
Okay,
You can be selective. Yeah, you can do the whole thing. You do a portion of it. You could even, maybe they're not all under one thing, but you can sell this piece and then add another piece later.
sure.
It's just
Makes sense.
it is flexible in that regard, which is really, really nice because yeah, that is a very real thing. Maybe somebody doesn't want to let go of the whole thing. Maybe they want to keep their choice properties and carve out the fat. And fantastic, we can help make that happen.
Yeah, keep one. I've had this tenant forever. It's my first house I ever bought, and I love it.
Yeah, yeah, they can do that. Absolutely.
Awesome.
What
That
else you got?
that's all the questions I had, I think. Let me check my notes.
Very good.
I made some notes.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It is all we're doing is we're saying, look, there are solutions out there to help people accomplish what their goals are. It's just somebody has to bring it to the table. And all I would say is this: do not let this video, be your expert witness to exactly how this works. If you have questions, you need to go deeper. If you need clarity, you need to reach out. I'm happy to help answer all that I can. At the end of the day, I am not the one who sets them up, but I am one who can at least ask you enough questions, the potential customer for that, to make sure it is a good and viable solution for you. Right. And so maybe just by that conversation alone, you find out, yes, this makes sense, or no, it doesn't. And if it does, then we carry on to the conversation. And I introduce you to the ones who actually set it all up and we make that happen. And then we start talking about, what can we do and where, TJU and my expertise comes in as to what we can do with the funds once we have a liquidated asset inside of a DST. But all we're doing is providing a solution so that we can help you access those funds so you can start doing what you want to do with them.
Love it. Yep. We are not 100% disclaimer. We are not lawyers. We are not tax advisors. Uh,
Or financial advisors, technically, right? So
yeah, we're financial
um,
educators, but in this
educators, yes.
scenario, I'd like to compare us to like a concierge to walk through the process. Someone who has some experience to walk through the process with you, so there's no balls dropped, right?
Yeah. I always ask, in jest a little bit, I'm like, would you rather be a professional or an expert? Or who would you rather help you, a professional or an expert? Because just because you're paid doesn't make you an expert.
No, that's true.
So here I am saying, yes, I'm a professional, but my goal is to be an expert or have expertise in areas that are a benefit to the people, right? And so
Yeah,
that's why I learn these things so that I can turn around and communicate them and let people know, hey, here's something that might be a benefit to you. And that just requires us being vigilant with our learning and leveling up our knowledge to be a benefit and a blessing to others. And so that's what we're here to do.
100%. That's the mission. Help families, help
Yes,
real
sir.
estate professionals, help business owners any way we can.
Absolutely. No, man, I really do appreciate you having me on, and hopefully somebody out there gets value from this, and has some curiosity, like to learn more. We are definitely happy to help. Like I said, reach out. Probably this video will be shared out, and other people will see it. And if it was shared with somebody, reach out to them and just say, "Hey, how can I get a hold of these guys?" And they'll help you figure it out. Okay. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for your time, and we're here if you need us. And just let us know.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate your time as well.